Righto guys, welcome back. We are on RB number 3. So, we've got RB number 3 up. I didn't film getting it up here because you've seen it all a few times now. RB shit everywhere. So, I'm going to make this video pretty short and sweet. I'm not going to keep going with the time lapse because you've watched me already pull down 2 motors that are the exact same. So, all I'm going to do is pull this down. I'm going to basically document when I find things that are a bit odd or out of the ordinary. Basically, the story with this motor is this is the motor that originally came in Rex's R31 when he bought it. It was knocking when he bought it, and it is pretty severe, this knock. So
horrific. It was knocking horrifically.
So basically, I don't hold out much hope for this crank and stuff, but I just figured that while I'm on the roll of pulling down all these RBs, and while each one I've pulled down has had a little bit of water in it that hasn't been in there for very long, I figured while I'm doing it, I'll just pull this one down. That way I know it's not sitting there with water in it, and I can sleep well at night, and probably all you guys at home can sleep well at night because you've probably all been watching it biting your nails because we've got so much shit out there in the weather, it's just not cool, but it's what happens, you know. Guess we like the party. With the sump off, you can actually see the pickup is covered in shite. The sump has got shite all in it, and like from 1 through, that's a bit of movement.
1, 2,
2's alright.
3. Oh, hang on.
Oh,
what's that?
That's a bit of bearing shell.
Yep, that's a piece of bearing shell.
That's totally normal. That's just RB things, you know.
4. There's some more bearing shell there. I just can't get it. 5. 5. Oh, it's so good. So far, so good. Oh!
Oh dear.
Oh no. That's So that's where all this bearings come from, is because there's none left in number 6.
So as you can see, they're pretty much, bearing number 6 is gone, which means that I am pretty much going to go ahead and call it at the moment and say this crank is probably going to be the worst of the 3 that I've pulled down.
That journal will end up being very similar to the one out of the 25.
Yeah, it'll be out around, it'll be worn down, it'll be
rude.
Cactus. So I'm pretty much half tempted to pretty much call this at that.
Is that is like, that's most of a bearing that we've actually, if you look there, you're looking deeper into the sump.
Yeah, there's
Like, look at
crap
this.
everywhere.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yep.
That is actual, that's shell, like.
That is some severity of damage.
I'd be surprised if there is any bearing left at all in there. There's just not going to be much. Like, that's absolutely done.
And also, as you may have noticed with this motor as well, it had a front sump on it, but it still had a rear sump. Can't even remember what it's called now. I've had a mental blank.
Dipstick?
Dipstick. Rear sump dipstick position. So, yeah, this motor was always had a question mark over it. Obviously, it was knocking when we got it, but whoever put it together just didn't really, I suppose, know a lot or something. I don't know. It's just odd. It's odd for someone to have put a front sump on the motor and then still keep the rear sump dipstick position. And we have suspicions that someone pretty much ran it dry of oil because it would have always said there was oil in it because the dipstick was on a flat part of the sump. Either way,
there's more.
That's just
off that. That's just off the top of that cap. That's just more shell.
Either way, I'm pretty happy to say this crank is probably Cactus. I'm pretty happy to say number 6 rod is probably Cactus. And I'm pretty happy to call it here and not bother pulling this motor down anymore. We'll just oil it up, cover it up, put it away as a good block. Because the block does seem to be pretty good. All the bores seem fine.
I want to take that one out just to
check.
Just to see.
Alright, we'll pull that one out and have a look, but I'm not going to bother spending too much time pulling this down, and I'm not going to bother trying to get this prick off because we can't get it off. So
not if the
I just got to take the pickup off and wrap it up and leave it.
Yeah,
because
we can tell. We just pull that out, check that journal and that rod. We're going to know straight away whether or not it's worth pulling it.
Either way, the block's good. The bores seem to be quite nice. There's no scores on the bores. Again, the bores are quite good. Not a massive amount of lip. Seems to be a virgin bore. We haven't actually measured it, but it looks like a virgin bore. So a third good block. We've got 3 good blocks here, which is good, but
it might be a virgin bore, but this engine's definitely been fucked before.
All right, we'll pull this out and give you a look. All right, so we just literally had to pry this cap off the rod. It would not want to come off. And that's what's left. Like, we didn't take any bearing shell out of that. That is just what is left of it.
As predicted, there is just no bearing shell at all. That was just rod cap on main journal.
Yep.
Sorry, on big end journal.
And yeah, it's pretty bad. as I suspected, I think this crank's going to be a cactus fucking item. That piston is probably just about to fall out.
I'll get it. Move your hand. I'm trying.
So anyway, by the looks of things, this rod and piston is definitely cactus. This crank looks like it's cactus.
Yeah.
Jesus. Ease up, Turbo. Ease up.
Now, yeah, we already knew.
Oh wow, look at that.
Holy shit. That is, I think that is actually the very, very outer shell
Of the hard metal.
of the bearing.
And on this side, it's pretty much completely gone. Either way, even if it's there, it's gotten down to a point where it's pretty much welded itself.
Yeah, that's what I think's happened, because you can see the edge there.
Yeah.
Same
on this.
That's actually one piece.
Same on this. You can see there's a bit of an edge there.
Yep.
So even if it's got down to that point, it's welded itself. Either way, it is cactus. It is fucking cactus.
That rod, I'd be surprised if that rod is even savable. And I pretty much guarantee that crank journal is going to be cactus.
So just upon a really close inspection of it, you can see all the lip around the edge of the piston, and you can see on the head where it's actually been contacting the head because the bearing was that far gone. So this head's a little bit damaged, probably savable, but a little bit damaged.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's savable.
That's
We can machine that out, or we can't, but you can get it machined out. But the head's savable. But yeah, just so you know, guys, if it starts knocking, shut it off, get it fixed, because if you keep driving with a knock, this is the sort of stuff that happens. So this is a very good lesson of 3 different ways you can wreck your engine by doing 3 separate things wrong. So
yeah, there is something to be said for a broken engine is not necessarily how it goes. There are very different levels of broken. There's like, oh, it's got a knock, we can fix it with just a new bearing, which we've gotten away with before. Then there is, I'll just send it anyway because it's broken. And then you end up with shit like this, where if you just keep driving or you just keep hammering it, it's just going to, it destroys everything. And then you either need to have to replace a lot of parts, or you have to pay a lot to fix the parts you have. Whereas as soon as it
So
starts
don't do that, guys. If it starts knocking, just shut it off. You're right. Yeah, it's just 1%. So yeah, basically there's a few weird things in this motor just looking at it, but it is still looks like a very good Series 2 RB30 block. So I think we'll just leave that rod and piston with that bore, and we'll wrap it up and put it away. And this is just known, it's a pretty good block. The bores all look good, but that crank and that rod is cactus, which means we pretty much need full rotating assembly for it. So anyway, I don't know if that's going to be enough to finish up this video, so if it is, cheers for watching everyone, and peace. I'll see you later. If not, well then, I don't know, we'll go on to something else at the moment, but it'll be later on, so. Alright, sorry guys, I had to cut Rex off there because the GoPro battery was going dead flat. It was on 0%, so I thought I had to speed that up. But anyway, I had to think about it last night, slept on it again. I think what I've decided to do is pretty much rebuild. Obviously here I've got all of my cooked RBs in a line, which is nice. But I'm going to use the pistons and rods out of the second one I pulled down, which are the dome top naturally aspirated pistons, and basically just rebuild them into this entire motor. So I'm going to use the crank that came out of this one. I'm going to use I'm actually going to flog the bearings and the rings off the turbo pistons and put them on the dome tops and put them in this one as well. Obviously budget build, trying to save some money. Then I'll just get a new set of mains, put new mains through it, and yeah, new gaskets, and put the turbo head back on it. Because if the head is actually a factory turbo head, it does have a different cam in it, which has less overlap, which is better for boost. But obviously, these things came out in the 80s. Now we've got massive advancement in tuning technology, cooling intake charges. We've got way better fuel. There is no need to be I think it's about 8.5 to 1, the flat tops are. There's no need to have for such low compression, especially not when I only plan on sort of running 10 PSI. So it's just unnecessary. It's going to be a lot more responsive with the extra compression. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a little bit more comp. So that's the plan.